most excited by this, but I also played Munchkin for the first time yesterday. I had never played Munchkin before. That was my first experience with Munchkin, and I hated it. Every single second of it was the worst. Okay? Oh, actually, my grandma is in Tonganoxie. Is looking to give away a massive 6-seater table. There you go, dude. There you go, dude. Yeah, you gotta be hosting the family for Christmas. I love it. I got drunk at Applebee's, dude. Did you try their new peach schnapps or whatever they advertise on Twitter all the time? That's ridiculous in memes, you know. Menace said exactly what my sister said. So my sister and her husband to be, they are the ones who own Munchkin. I have seen many Snapchats at like 3 a.m. from her. I mean, I wake up in the morning, but she sends them at 3 a.m. Of them drunkenly yelling about Munchkin and playing Munchkin like they're obsessed. They have every expansion pack. They have of course the base board game. They bought a card shuffler off Amazon. So the card shuffler shuffles, so there's no pointing of fingers for rigging the game because it's shuffled by a machine. Like, they take their Munchkin very seriously. And after we had played, I'm going to talk about why I hate it, but after we had played, Josh, my sister's fiance, goes, the rule book says, it's like what he said, one of the very first things of the rule book is that Munchkin rule book says that if there's an argument that cannot be settled, the owner of the game gets the final say in what's true and what's not. And so I asked him, who's the owner of the game? And he's like, me. And he goes, I've honestly thought about getting rid of Munchkin because I don't need that stress, these problems in my life, is what he told me. Okay? Now, I embrace rage, okay? Many of you have seen my stream highlights videos. Many of you are here every day watching me rage at games like Overwatch. And I don't dislike Munchkin for the reason that you think I do, okay? So for those of you who have never played Munchkin, here it is in a nutshell, okay? You draw a card that has a power level on it, okay? You add up all of your power levels. It's almost like a tabletop RPG style. So you could have a helmet, footwear, a weapon, multiple weapons depending on how many hands, and that type of thing. Okay? And you add all those up. So like my foot is 5, my helmet's 3, and my weapon is 2. I have 10 points. Okay? Then when it's your turn, you draw a card. Usually there's a monster. If it's under your level, so if it's a 10 and I'm a level 11, you beat it, you get treasure, continue to up your level. If you don't have enough, you got to ask someone for help. Every time you beat a monster, you move your pawn on the board from 1, you move it 1 space. Depending on the power of the monster, you could move it 2, until you get to 10, and when you get to 10, you win. Now, here's the rub. There are a million cards in the game that are meant to overpower monsters. So, let's say I am on 9. And I'm about to win because I'm going to go to 10, Rap God, okay? And I draw a level 1 monster, and I'm sitting, let me see here, at 32 power, okay? Let's say that. Not that I know from experience, but this is what happened to me yesterday. You draw a level 1 monster, and literally your sister, your brother, your mother, and your wife, they all decide that they're going to apply plus 10 power to this monster, making him nigh undefeatable. And then no one will help you because if you win the game. And that's what happens for 3 hours to everyone who is on 9. Now, again, I have no problem with this. This is not my problem with Munchkin. This is why I can't play Munchkin. I have no problem with a game that is solely based around sabotaging a victory until you can get to a victory. Because honestly, there is some strategy there. There is some strategy. Like, you can convince, like what I did a couple times, for example. It's my brother, who was, I think, 2 turns away from me. He was also on 9, and I was on 9. So whoever wins the game, okay? He had a monster. They all... Hey, Gungus. Hey, what's up, man? What's up? Is that, it says 10 months? Baby could fend for itself now, so I'm sure it's some weird hybrid. Okay. A month-old baby hybrid. Let's do it, Taco Truck. Thank you for 10 months of subs, my man. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Hope your 4th of July was awesome. I imagine you had good food. Okay, because that's what he does. Taco, it's good to see you, man. We haven't seen you in a while. We missed you during Super Mario Maker 2 when there was a character named, like, Celebrity Chef or something, and I cursed your name because I said that you were the Celebrity Chef before I realized that the levels he made were the devil, and so, sorry. But anyway, back to Munchkin. So what you would do for strategy is you would say, you know, to my brother, I'd be like, I'm going to help you beat this monster. And then everyone in your family throws down their +10 to monster cards or make us run away or turn it into a parrot or whatever you do in this game. And then they use all their cards that they could have used on you to make your monster go away. It kind of makes sense, but it's confusing. If you know what Munchkin is, you'll understand what I'm saying. And so there is some strategy there to get the backstabbing out of the way on people that you don't want to win, so all the backstabs are gone by the time it gets to your turn so you can win, okay? So again, no problem with backstab the game, as Menace calls it, okay? No problem with that. Here's the problem I have, and I'll pop a red ahead. Team Up on Seth Simulator is how everyone plays these games. Now, those of you who have been in the chat for a while, hey, Acid, good to see you. How are you? Hope your head's doing okay. So for all those of you who've been in the chat in a while, you know one of my major complaints about playing games with people like Chris or Colby or anyone is that they think I always win. Okay? And the problem with this logic is because they think I always win, everyone turns against me to make sure I lose. Which means Seth never wins. Ever. Because Seth is always in an alliance against everybody. All the time. And Munchkin, okay? Munchkin amplifies this because it's the point of the game. But the problem is that when you're all ganging up on Seth in a game that's meant to be ganged up on level 9, but you go, Seth's level 1. But if we give him a second to breathe, he'll be level 9. So let's team up on Seth the entire game and just ruin his entire life. Like, if I just sat on 9 and got to play big brain and strategize around with people at the table to make sure they can't win either in a way that makes it so I win, that would be okay. I would have the same advantage and disadvantage that everyone else at the table has, but everyone at the table looks at Seth, and they go, hey, what? You know what? He's going to win. Even though he's in last place, he always wins. Even though I've never sat at a table and watched him win because we always sabotage his ability to win, he's going to win. We're going to sabotage it. And so the entire game, my wife, my sister, my son, my mother, my brother, make sure this old zswiggs can't move forward on the board just in case he wins. Also, Menace is talking about, like, advanced plays. Like, I always save level 1 monsters just in case. And he says, like, elf class top tier. I never got a class at one point in my game. And by the time I get level 1 monsters, though, I didn't know what they meant. This was my first time playing it. My sister and my brother Luke have played it, like, a million times. So they're over there working. They're playing 4D chess. And I don't even understand what's going on. Here's an example of how they sabotage me without sabotaging me, okay? You want to hear this? You want to hear this? Are you ready? Okay? This is what happens. I draw a curse card. Okay, so in Munchkin, you start the game, you start your turn by drawing a card, and you have to use whatever card you drew. After you figure out what to do with that card, then you could either fight a monster, and your turn ends, or you could draw another card from the random pile, and you could either save it, use it then, or discard it. Okay? But I didn't know this. I drew my first card, whatever. Second card I drew to end my turn. It's a curse card. I turned it to my sister, and I go, what do now? And she goes, that's a curse. You could just hold on to it. And I go, okay. And I held on to it. 5 turns later, she draws a curse card. Immediately plays it on one of my people. And I go, I didn't even know I could play a curse card. 1, after I drew it on that end of turn. And 2, at any moment on someone else's cards. And she goes, "Well, what do you think I meant?" And I go, "I thought you meant what you said!" So technically, she didn't lie. I could just hold the card. But I also could have immediately played it on her card, sabotaging the game, but she didn't want to say that. Because Seth always wins. Guess what? I lost. Okay? And I'm never playing that game ever again. Oni, how are you? Good to see you. Any game that encourages the people who play against me to team up against me is a game I will never play. Okay? You should have looked up the rules of the game on your phone. Pro Xbox Craft, I'm going to tell you. Okay, I don't know if you've ever played Munchkin. This game has so many rules. Like, it's pretty easy to understand the flow of the game, but the problem with this game, it's not a problem, it's actually what makes the game fun, is that there are 600 cards. And my sister and her fiance, because they're obsessed, own every expansion. So there's every card known to man that could ever exist in Munchkin is sitting on our kitchen table, ready to be played, and my sister and my brother, big brains, know all the cards in there because they've played it multiple times. Like, at one point I get a cheat card, okay? A cheat card means you could ignore whatever restrictions are on another card. So if this card is like, it's for this class only, or it's a 2-handed weapon and you only have one hand free, you can play the cheat card and you could use that card anyway. And I go, I'm going to play it on this. And my sister goes, ooh. Oh, I wouldn't do that. And I go, why? And she's like, what if you get something better? And I looked at her dead ass in the eyes, and I'm like, I don't know what cards are in this game. How do I know what's better? How do I know where the peak is? How do I know that when I get this card, I don't go, wow, this card is trash? Because my only context is that this card is better than the other cards I have. So I'm never playing Munchkin again, okay? Because everyone teams up on me. Now, if I played with people who respected me and treated me fairly, okay, I would love to play Munchkin. Let me list the people that I believe would treat me with respect and fair in a game. Serpent, Vaxus. That's it. El Papa would roast me. Pepe laugh. Acid Cat, she's already said in this chat that I always win. Don't you what me? You should hear her when we play Jackbox or we play Overwatch. I'm just so glad Seth didn't win. Okay, I don't want to hear it. Y'all would team up on me. My entire family. Expunged. Okay? All right? That's who I trust. All right? I'll see you later, Casual. Enjoy work, man. I'm sorry you have to work after the 4th of July. You know, it's the worst. Do you remember when I finally beat you, though? I screamed. And I don't know why. I never win. I wish that I wish I could go to heaven and ask the Lord, give me the scoreboard of how many times in my life I have actually won a game versus the combined scores of everyone I've ever played with who won. And the score would look something like this. 3 for me, 18 trillion for everyone else. And all of those people would be like, Seth would have won if we didn't team up against him. Unfair. Okay? All right? And I remember this, so I'm never playing. And the worst part is that they all trigger me. Like Chris knows how to needle me, all right? She knows how to do it. And so when I'm like, everyone teams up against me, she's like, no. When clearly she does. And she knows she does. But the steam's coming out of my ears, and I'm about to rip my hair out. Okay? All right? The Lord will tell you about 90% of the time, but I remember this rant that you had when you were being a big baby about Munchkin. See, this is why I can't play games with Acid, okay? She would absolutely form an alliance with Chris the Rooster, with my brother, with anyone that she comes in contact with to take down big bad zswiggs, even though zswiggs has never won a game in his life. Okay? Do you guys watch my Overwatch plays? I'm trash. Why would you team up against me? Why? Okay? Why? Why would you do it? She needles me. Okay? All the time. So I'm never playing Munchkin. But my 4th of July besides that was great. It was great. It was great. And I do believe that my son and Chris won the game. Because once I realized... So what happened to me, Minus asked how many times was I screwed over, and I don't remember his exact phrasing. Let me see this. What did he say? He said, how many times did you get screwed over, lol? I've been dropped from level 7 to 1 once. So I went from 9 to 7, so it wasn't that bad, but I did lose when on my final... I had fought off, I think, 3 or 4 plus 10 monsters. I had a steed. Okay, I'm gonna talk real neato now. Or sorry, I just read Pro Xbox. I'm gonna talk real nerdy about Munchkin right now. So if you know Munchkin, this will make sense. If it doesn't, just listen to Shooting Stars or something real quick. Okay, I had a steed that gave me a free runaway. After that, I had a steed that I drew that gave me a +3 to run away, so I could roll a 2 or higher and get away. I also had a card that like transfigured a monster, and I think I had one more escape, but I don't remember what it was. So I literally used 4 plays at level 9 to get away from these super overpowered monsters. Okay, and at this point, I was sitting at 32 power, which is really high, I think. 32 power. And it took a lot of cards to get every monster I drew to be over that power, so I would lose and need to run away. On the last one, the monsters that they threw at me, because they did a Monster Party or a Wandering Monster, I think it was called, Wandering Monster. That's what it was. They do 2 Wandering Monsters, and one of them was lose all your cards, and the other one was your teammates get to pick, or your opponents get to pick one item. So we were playing with my wife, my brother, my son, my mother, and my sister. 5 people took 1 card each of mine, and then the rest of my stuff had to go in the discard pile. And that's when I decided that from now on, I'm just going to help whoever, my son is who I targeted because Chris had formed an alliance against me. I wasn't going to help her. My son win because he was at 9, and if he beat a monster, he would win. And so I decided to help him beat every monster because they all threw the monster cards at him to get him to lose too. And so I'm like, nah, I'm going to help him. And so that's what I did. It took me like 5 turns to get anything of use, so I could help him. But that's what happened. And I do believe ultimately, because I think Chris was an elf or something to the class, which she helped. Oh, my God. Thank you for the $5 tip, Acid. She says you always win, but I don't always win. Quit spreading that propaganda. Okay. Menace, I had no class. You know what I had? I had a card that gave me or I had no race that gave me a 1/3. I was a 1/3ling instead of a halfling. and I couldn't. I never got a race or a class the entire game. What I had was a lot of cheat cards. I got the helmet that gave me an extra hand, so I had 3 hands. So I had a 2-handed weapon, a 2-handed weapon with a cheat, and a 1-handed weapon. And then I had like a steed and another, I think, like stinky feet, and like and something else with a cheat card that gave me bonus. So I just had a lot of equipment. It's actually what I had. That's actually what I had, was a lot of equipment, because I had amazing card RNG for power, but everyone else got monsters, dude. It was rough. Acid, thank you so much for the $5 tip. Really appreciate that. Okay. But yeah, I do believe I'm pretty sure Chris and Aaron split a victory. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And I was just glad it was over, because everyone was just teaming up on me and it was the worst. Okay. But I also had fun. I could see why it's fun if people didn't unfairly team up on me. But like, I don't know Menace, I don't know people, but like, those of you who played Munchkin, like, look at these cards. That's a lot of cards. Okay? It's a lot of cards. It's not as many as my 4th of July mortars. We had a lot of those too. But yeah. It's a lot of